This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City update for August 24th around 11 a.m. Here is Tropical Storm Cristobal near the southeastern Bahamas, and the system remains poorly organized this morning. The discussion from the National Hurricane Center indicated that the system is not vertically stacked, meaning that the low-level and the mid-level circulations are not aligning over the top of one another, and this system is having trouble due to continued wind shear on the western portions of the center of circulation. In this visible shot from NOAA, you can see that all of the heavy rain and winds and convection is probably out over the open waters just to the northeast of the Bahamas, and the system is expected to pass north of the Bahamas, staying just north of the islands and then eventually turning north and northeast. But you know, looking at this visible, it'd really be nice if the Bahamas had a radar available from the Bahamas, or at the very least, if they do have a radar, it'd be nice if somebody could put it online so that, you know, years and years of tracking these things, we have to sit here and look at satellite images when they get in the Bahamas. It's very frustrating. We have radars in the Greater Antilles and Florida, but when it gets to the Bahamas, there's a bare area where we have no radar coverage, so we rely on visible satellite images and ship reports and Hurricane Hunter aircraft which are flying around out there. But the system does remain poorly organized, but it is forecast to become a hurricane as it pulls away from the Bahamas. So let's go ahead and switch sources back to the HurTrack program and show you what the forecast animation is showing. And before I put this in motion, you'll notice we have San Salvador Island right in here, just about 70 nautical miles to the west of the center of circulation of Tropical Storm Cristobal. But the system, you know, and this brings up the debate about the Hurricane City database and what constitutes a brush versus a hit. And I like to use where the tropical storm force wind field is actually affecting the areas as whether it's a brush or a hit. And it appears right now that San Salvador Island, which is the current feature at Hurricane City, by the way, is not going to get sustained tropical storm force winds. Therefore, the countdown clock has been deactivated. It looks like they're going to get northerly winds, probably 20 to 30 miles an hour as this passes off to the east of the island of San Salvador. And it developed north of the Caicos. You could argue maybe it was a tropical storm, but they did have good Hurricane Hunter forecast fixes in on the system when it was in the Caicos, and at that time it was not a tropical storm, so it's going to turn out that probably none of the Bahama Islands are going to be directly impacted by this system when it's all said and done. Now Bermuda, on the other hand, that's a different story. Let's go ahead and animate this and see what's going to happen here. It's going to pass east of San Salvador and then start to pull away from the Bahamas, and then when you get into the early week area, it becomes a hurricane just well east of Daytona Beach, and then begins to make the northeast turn, going safely between the United States and Bermuda. Now there are some models, however, that are indicating this could come pretty close to Bermuda, so we're going to watch for that. In fact, that'll be another update video if it looks like Bermuda is going to be directly impacted by this. But right now the forecast calls for it to stay safely away from Bermuda, passing off to the north. In fact, the European model, which was really the best model going back in time on this system, indicated that this is exactly what was going to happen. It would pass north of the Bahamas, come close to them but not hit them, and then stay off the coast of the central U.S. coastline and then recurve off to the northeast. Now there is some possibilities of this affecting Newfoundland. The Euro does show it passing through Newfoundland, so we'll have to see if that happens, but it would probably be in an extratropical state at that time. But Bermuda still needs to keep an eye on this, as this could pass very close to Bermuda as it passes just off to the north. Now let's take a look at the model consensus here, and you'll see that the models are all showing pretty much a lean towards Bermuda. This is a far cry from yesterday, where they were kind of leaning maybe that this would head towards the southeastern United States coastline. And this silly UK Met model out here, you can just disregard that. That thing has shown a western bias on this system the entire time. And the GFDL ensembles have flirted with Florida coming up in this area somewhere. But you notice today the models have all leaned to the right, and the GFS model, the Euro model rather, is still kind of thinking over here somewhere just north of the Bahamas, and then makes that turn off to the north. So we're going to watch that closely to see if there's any model ships a little bit further to the west. But right now it's looking safe for the Bahamas and for the eastern coast of the United States, that we're not going to have to deal with Tropical Storm Cristobal. Alright, let's switch images and go back to the a view from the HurrEvac program. This is pretty cool. This is a program that the professionals use here, and these are the guys in emergency management use this software, and this is a track of Cristobal showing the advisory boxes. We currently have tropical storm warnings out for the central Bahamas, but it looks like it's going to pass off to the east. And if we pan this image out a little bit, you'll see that the forecast track calls for this to pass north of Bermuda. Again, this is all based on National Hurricane Center data anyways, but it's a pretty cool program, the HurrEvac. We're going to try to implement this more in the tropical update videos throughout the hurricane season, what that program is showing. Now, again, I mentioned that the current feature is San Salvador Island, Bahamas. There are no webcams. There's a webcam from a research center on the island, but it hasn't been working for a long time, so there's really no live webcams from Little San Salvador Island, Bahamas. Here's an aerial shot from skypic.com showing a few small islands to the south, and then the main island, which is the most northeast island in the Bahama Island chain. And most of the people live on the northern part of the island. The southern part of the island really doesn't even get any electricity down there. It's just the northern part of the island. But again, this is going to be glancing off to the northeast of this island as it moves away. There's some Twitter feeds from the area, some news from the Bahamas, but overall just lack of information from the Bahamas. The Bahamas are probably the most difficult area to feature those islands at Hurricane City because of the lack of information and live weather data and news, etc. that comes out of the area. So it is what it is. Anyway, I'll be back with another update in a few days. If this looks like it's going to be a direct impact for Bermuda, but if it's going to pass well north, this will be the last update on Cristobal. And we'll wait for the next named storm, which could be Dolly. By the way, some of the long-range models do indicate that there's going to be a Cape Verde system that could develop near the Leeward Islands in about a week from now, and could be in the same situation as we're looking at with Cristobal. And this one would be a little bit further south. That's the early model run, so the United States might have to consider that one as a threat down the road. We'll see about that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.